Abel, it's time for some biohacking, man. Let's do glutathione.
I'm stoked for this.
There you go. This is the new Glutathione Force.
It looks highly suspicious. Don't worry. It's perfectly safe, I hope.
Have I told you how to take it?
I think I took it on an earlier episode
cool.
when we were in San Francisco. We had a spoon then.
That was an early version of this. So this one, you want 1 milliliter of it. You just...
Okay. That's awesome.
This is lemon ginger flavor, which is, I would describe as not objectionable.
Okay.
There you go. You got like 2 doses there. So there's 5 doses in each one of these.
Good, because I just came from a bachelor party, so I can use this.
You need this. So glutathione...
Do I put it under my tongue?
Yeah, you can just swallow it.
Okay.
This stuff works much better than anything else out there. Because it's the primary antioxidant detoxifying substance in your liver. It's really important, especially if you're drinking or if you take Tylenol or something that depletes your liver enzymes, any toxin. It's important you get this up there. But for mental focus, I know that, for instance, Alberto Villoldo, who's a cultural anthropologist and a shaman, and a guy I've hung out with before, he uses this stuff before he does advanced meditation work. And I certainly use this for 40 years of Zen. Like everyone who does it with me, we're doing this before we go into the neurofeedback chamber to achieve better levels of mental performance.
Yeah.
So before doing our video today, I figured like, hey, let's ramp up how the brain works. So we've run some electricity over our heads, we've taken some glutathione, like it's time. I'm feeling pretty amped right now.
Collagen and Bulletproof coffee.
Yeah.
It's been a good day so far. And some pastured duck eggs.
You know, life is good.
Life is pretty good.
What you didn't get this morning, even though you're hanging out at my house, is the bacon. I just cured my own bacon. But
really?
Yeah. In fact, we didn't defrost any. But heritage breed, pastured black hog.
Awesome.
Cured with the thing I'm going to be putting out on the web pretty soon. Talking about how to exactly get the cure right so you get less toxin formation, more of the good stuff preserved.
Yeah.
But like overall, I'm sorry about the bacon. We're going to get you some bacon. But it's been a pretty good morning, I'd say.
It's been an excellent morning. So today we're going to be talking about, this is a nice little switcheroo, the opposite of bacon.
Exactly.
We're going to be talking about Soylent and why it's a really stupid idea. So Dave, what is Soylent?
Soylent, as you've probably heard, Soylent is people from the original book, Soylent Green. But there's a recent, I'd call it, wave of publicity for a guy who had the idea of, I'm going to make the core set of what the human body requires. I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to ignore how it tastes, and that's going to be my fuel. And the guy lost a bunch of weight and felt pretty good on it. Yeah. So he said, look, I should patent this and commercialize it. And we're here today to talk about why that might not be a good long-term solution, and I'll tell you why he had the effects he had at all. So, what do you think? Why did he lose a bunch of weight on this bizarre thing?
I mean, you can lose weight pretty easily by doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, you can eat nothing but cabbage soup for a long time. You can eat grapefruit. You can eat nothing for a period of time. You could juice fast. All these are like pretty stupid ideas as a long-term plan, and they're not really going to help you out that much long-term, because what you really need to do is learn how to eat and live well, and that's the secret to health and performance. So what this does, I think it kind of started as a joke, right? I mean, it was like,
sounds like it.
It was a blog post, and I can see the appeal. I don't want to like rip on it too much, but it's a really dumb idea if you actually take it seriously as like a dietary choice, right? So I have all sorts of issues with it. Number one, bacon is delicious, and so are a lot of other things. But number two, it's just like you don't want to be relying on a product that doesn't really know what's going on in the human body or the effects on the human body. And the truth is, we know about little pieces like this. We know we can, the smaller the effect is, the more you're just trying to narrow in on one particular thing, the better off we're going to be when we're trying to understand what's going on. But if you're trying to achieve the full spectrum of nutrition in one product, I mean, humans, science, we're just not there yet.
We're not there, and there's this little group of people with a little bit of money for research that's been out there. They're called the military. Not just our military, but every military on the planet since militaries were first formed.
Yeah.
They've been keenly interested in how do you properly fuel people with ignoring flavor
Yeah.
for maximum performance, at least for the amount of time they're deployed in the field. Somehow they didn't come up with Soylent. Do you think they might have tried?
I think they've been trying a lot of things, many of which the public doesn't know about.
Yeah.
Right? Modafinil is one that they have been using for a long time, and now they're on the next level.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they've tried pretty much everything else out there. They are biohackers, a lot of them.
Some of the original
unwilling
ones.
biohackers in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So the idea that you're going to put together something that says you need X amount of potassium every day. So I poured some potassium in. The difficulty there is that we have this thing called the Krebs cycle. This is how your body makes energy, and it uses different forms of B vitamin, different forms of folic acid, different forms of potassium. Some absorb more than others, and it's not like we are machines. Your body isn't a chemical refinery where you dump raw materials in and magically stuff happens. It has to get the right raw materials in the right ratios. So the idea that you're going to take X amount of calcium chloride and X amount of potassium, I think it was gluconate that he used. Well, okay, why gluconate? What is the effect of gluconate versus the other, say, potassium salts that you might want to get in your diet? Our bodies don't run well when you do that, especially for long periods of time.
Yeah.
But you know what he did eliminate in his diet?
What?
Most toxins, the anti-nutrients.
Right. Yeah.
The things that I focus on exclusively almost on the Bulletproof diet. Like, get these things out because those are the hidden sources of kryptonite.
Yep.
So if he was walking around eating gluten every day and then magically you go on Soylent, which tastes like crap and is this mix of imbalanced nutrients, what's going to happen is you're going to lose weight and you're probably going to get a nice spike in mental energy. You'll get the same thing if you go vegan. Go raw vegan. You're going to feel awesome for a couple months, and then the vegan trap hits and you start to decline. The same sort of thing will happen with Soylent. You could go on the Cambridge diet. Remember that?
Yeah. And it's, I mean, you can literally go on almost any diet that is devoid of the worst offenders in the standard American diet or whatever you're eating now, and you're going to feel a heck of a lot better at the beginning. The problem is, like you said, you hit this point where all of a sudden avoiding the bad stuff isn't good enough anymore because you actually need some nourishment.
You need the good stuff.
Yeah, for as long as you're avoiding it, like you are starting to leach it out of your organs and your bones. Your body is trying to nourish itself and run effectively without getting all the things that it needs, and that's just a ticking time bomb. And it's like if you're overloading on, it doesn't matter if it's a particular type of potassium or magnesium or whatever, but like if you're using one of those compounds, it's vastly different than like eating a banana. We know that we can eat bananas, right? We've been eating them for a long time.
Like 30 a day?
Yeah, preferably at least 30 a day. That's a great diet as well. But it's like those things become toxins.
Yeah.
These nutrients become toxins if you have too many of them in too short of a time, including this, right? You don't want to just be sucking down tube after tube because your body won't run well when it's getting too much of one thing and not enough of another.
You know, I've never tried ODing on glutathione. I've taken 3 syringes in a day, and I felt great.
Did you really?
Yeah, well, I was doing like
3.
I was doing 40 years of Zen, so like I literally spent 6 hours hooked up to an EEG, like focusing on more alpha waves. So, but it was a special circumstance. I don't recommend three tubes a day.
Oh,
man. But would I do that every single day? Absolutely not. It would depress my body's natural production of glutathione. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So occasional spikes, but for instance, fatty acids, right? Okay, there's a very limited range because you only need X amount of fat, and this reductionist view of thinking that motivates the Soylent principles or the Soylent way of thinking. If you try and boil the body down to those reductionist principles, you get essentially Western medicine, but without even the nuances of Western medicine.
Yeah.
What you end up with is like we're robots. And if we were robots, you know, the most effective fuel might actually be candles, because you could just eat a candle. It's very high caloric density, right? We don't have to worry about all that stuff like flavor and everything else, and we should just run on that. Or coal. Coal is a great fuel. You just, you know, some briquettes and we aren't like that. So when you say I'm going to remove the variety from the human diet and put it into this thing, you will remove a lot of the stuff that is bad for you, but long term, human resilience will drop. It'll drop precipitously, and it's going to take a while to dig yourself out of that hole.
Yeah, so it's a fun little fascination, and I could see why it would explode in popularity so quickly. But I get a lot of questions about, like, is Soylent a good idea? I just ordered, you know, a month's supply. I'm really excited about
Are
it.
they shipping it now? I didn't even realize. I saw this blog post when it first came out.
Right. Yeah, and so it could be fun. I mean, you might enjoy it. It's probably not worse than like Centrum or something, right? But I don't take Centrum, and I wouldn't recommend that anyone else does either. I mean, those things can be fun to tinker with, but they're not lifestyle choices.
No, it's not. And if you want to go on a diet for 2 weeks where you eat only Soylent, which essentially is an elimination diet, it's not going to harm you. And when you're done with it, you'll probably be more aware of the foods that make you weak, because you'll reintroduce something you thought was good for you, and it totally jacks you up. Like when you tried olive oil, even though you're allergic to olives, you're like, wow, I really feel this.
Yeah.
Elimination diets have done that for years. So you could eliminate using Soylent. And from reviewing his initial formula, not the one that's shipping, I didn't see anything that was outright harmful in it.
Yeah.
I thought the ratios of some things were pretty bizarre, and it was clearly lacking in others. But for a short period of time, none of that's relevant. For a long period of time, like, don't do that to yourself. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Just try ODing on magnesium. You'll do it once.
The worst thing, though, is some things are more pernicious, like vitamin B6.
Yeah.
People put it in every supplement. It drives me
that's true.
nuts. Too much B6 causes peripheral neuropathy. What that means is numbness and tingling in like your fingers and your toes and your legs. So if you ever get like carpal tunnel or this and you're supplementing a lot, B6 can make it worse. And if you keep doing B6 at excessive doses, you actually could cause permanent damage that way.
Yeah.
So
it is annoying because it's in almost everything, even a lot of good supplements. The problem is it's also feeding the bad stuff in your body that you don't want growing. Pathogens, bacteria, viruses all thrive on B vitamins. So a good way to do it is actually avoiding B vitamins.
especially the yeast-based ones.
Yeah, quite often. Most days of the week is what a lot of people recommend.
There's also something like P5P, which is a coenzymated form of B6, the one that I recommend. A lot of people don't convert their B vitamins into the active forms very well in the gut. When you go to something like Soylent, like he sort of randomly, as far as I can tell, picks a supplement and says, oh, B6, you need X amount of B6 according to the RDA, which, by the way, is voodoo, right? Okay, so I took like whatever the source was and I slapped it in there.
Yeah.
But like, was it P5P? And do you have the genes that allow you to metabolize B6?
Right.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, everyone can metabolize P5P. And if you look at a supplement like Nutrients that the Caltons make, they just reformulated to include folinic acid instead of folic acid, because 25% of people don't metabolize folic acid well.
Yeah.
So like that's an example of a nuanced thing where we looked at the biochemical steps versus like, oh, it's a human, let's just slap some stuff in there, you know, it'll take it. So I think I would advise caution here, not opposed to the thinking which says what is the minimum set of requirements for the human and ignore flavor. Give me a pill, the Flintstones or whatever, the Jetsons pill, you know, you have this little pill and like it's a roast beef inside you. Like, I'm all over that. Like I want convenience. Like, we're biohackers, right?
Yeah.
Flavor is really nice when you're going for flavor.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work long term, it's a problem. And Soylent is not a long term play.
Yeah. And I think it might seem like we're being a little hypocritical, right? Because we're pretty cavalier when it comes to some of this stuff. But I think that's because the way that it's framed, at least the way that you do it, the way that I do it, is that these are fun things to play around with, and these individual components you can like plug into your lifestyle. They're not a replacement for a healthy lifestyle. I think that's the biggest difference.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think we're about out of time on this episode. So short answer is, you want to try Soylent, go for it. You want to live on Soylent? Good luck with that.
Eat some more delicious food.
Yeah.
How about that? And you can always try out Soylent for a few days, see how good you feel, see how much you miss food, and then eat something delicious and see if you can stick with that forever. I know I can.
Yep. You could maybe make Soylent fritters wrapped in bacon.
Gross. Gross. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
The sun just rose. We're here in Fiji, and I'm writing my new book, The Wild Diet, and this is just the best place ever to do it. We're having a lot of fun eating some weird fruits that we've never seen before, some of which could also be used as weapons. And it's really cool to kind of get a reset, to try on some of the local drinks. We're a big fan of kava now, which is basically like more like herbal type of alcohol, if you think of it that way.
At a certain point, your body screams for what it needs. And so if you want to be kind of silly about it, it's like the best way to recover from being a raw vegan is eating some meat.
Oh, duh.
But there are a lot of other things that you can do as
Yeah.
well. So what are some of the most common deficiencies that come up over the course of being raw?
The one that most people are aware of is